Today, I'm chatting with the president and CEO of Core Assets, Nick Rodway. In this interview, we discuss Core Assets' recent drill results, which includes 2 drill intercepts 2 kilometers apart, demonstrating a pretty significant potential for a mine. Guys, I think that Nick's one of the few junior mining executives that I talk to that can actually explain things well. So that's why I'm really excited to be having him on. So sit back, enjoy the interview, and let us know what you think in the comment section. Nick, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
So Nick, we've chatted quite a few times offline. I've always appreciated your ability to just articulate mining concepts, which quite frankly, in the junior mining space is not really all that common from my experience anyways. So for our audience that is not familiar with Core Assets, what's the high level overview for what Core Assets is?
Yeah, well, I mean, I come from a geological background, but also, a very practical background. So, I've done every part of the industry, basically from core cutting to now, management. So I've seen a lot of what goes on, and that's kind of why I can, kind of explain things in different ways. But I mean, it is a long story with regards to where we are now and where we began. But long story short, we started in around 2016 looking for battery metal projects. As simple as that in North America. Selected a bunch of different projects, and you'll get a one winner out of you pick 100 projects, you might get one winner. So the day that I went and visited the Silver Line project, within an hour of being on that property, I knew this thing had a chance to be a winner. And I started running into massive sulfide occurrences in a limestone unit, so a calcium-rich rock unit. And at the time, I didn't even know what that meant. And basically took with what I learned in the field and, with the help of some world leaders in carbonate replacement type deposits, I came to the conclusion that we might be on something potentially with a large upside. And since 2016, we've listed the company, Core Assets Corp, and we're listed on 3 exchanges right now in the US, Canada, and Frankfurt. And we've been building the story now since the market's kind of turned around a bit in 2020. And since then, we've made several more discoveries, and several would be an understatement. We've made hundreds of more discoveries within a 6.6 by 1.8 kilometer area. And it's an area that's never been looked at before. So that's what makes us special and what makes us be able to raise money right now, because we're just continuing to up our confidence with geological techniques that generally bring down your confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So these are effectively naked holes that you guys are hitting. This isn't like, those properties that people say were drilled like Swiss cheese previously. This is like a fresh block of cheese.
This is a fresh block of cheddar, my friend, with no holes at all within 15 kilometers. And, we set out this year to spend as little money as we can and to get as most information as we can. So as you would know, and most people with mining exploration, it's not cheap to build drill pads. It's not cheap to use helicopters. Things like that are not cheap, and they're not getting any cheaper. So we picked 3 areas within a large zone of about 5 kilometers by 2 kilometers, and we drilled at each pad around 5 holes per pad, all spanned out with the goal to achieve the most amount of geological information with the least amount of money, and with the hopes to tap into what we call the carbonate replacement style mineralization that we saw at surface. And check mark on that, we succeeded. With every hole hitting some sort of texture of carbonate replacement, some being very substantial, some a little less substantial. But then, of course, we also hit what feeds your carbonate replacement, which is a porphyry. And that's pretty darn important in the CRD world, because, major companies, they're looking for things that are large and things that are going to have production for many, many years. And a carbonate replacement deposit end member on a porphyry is kind of the cat's pajamas, because you can kind of get some cash flow that helps build your porphyry mine. And that's one of the things that holds back, a porphyry style mine, is the high capex on those projects.
So I'm not a geo. This would be sort of my understanding of what you're saying. Again, dummy Steve explained this, but it's kind of like we have found a Sunday, right? And the when you find a CRD, it's like the CRD is like the whipped cream and the cherry and the like butterscotch topping, and then the porphyry, like that's the actual like ice cream, and that's kind of like what's underneath it is this huge deposit, theoretically at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good analogy of it, actually. And I'd even go further to say that most projects would have a cherry without a stem, and ours has that stem, which we could see at surface, and that's what led us to it with so little money. So a stemless cherry is a lot harder to find than a cherry with a stem, and we're lucky enough to have over 250 stems coming out of our sundae. So that's what makes it so special.
So this news release you guys put out today, congratulations on these results. We got 2 big intercepts, and it's noteworthy that they're 2 kilometers apart. Why is it noteworthy that they're 2 kilometers apart? Why is this a good thing?
So again, we were doing, it's hard to call a step out when you're dealing with those kind of distances. But when we went in there, we noticed that there were obviously a lot of different limestone beds, and they all trend northwest, southeast. So we do have that in common with the Jackie target and the Grizzly target, which is where these holes came from. But until you actually see geochem and you actually see these elemental values, it's hard to tell, which part of the system you're in. So when we did these pads, again, it was all cross-cutting structural regimes, trying to hit them perpendicular and get as much information as you can from not just the limestone beds, but also the other units in the area. And now, once we have our geochem back from those 2 holes, we're starting to see that there may be more than one source to these deposits of metals. And so the Jackie and the Grizzly area could be being fed by a different porphyry system. And we can tell that by the elementals, percent elements in it, following what we call a carbonate replacement continuum model, which we presented a few times in our news releases. But the significance is that there could be several sundaes that are stemming up to the cherry. You know what I mean?
Okay, interesting. So where does the company go from here? I mean, I assume that at some point you're gonna have to raise money. Obviously, in these types of videos, nobody wants to talk about that, but that's the reality. I mean, if we look at Great Bear, they raised tons of money from being like a mere penny stock to ultimately getting taken out, like $30, $20, I don't remember. What's the strategy here? How are you guys going to get the capital to go out and find these ice cream sundaes?
Yeah, so we have been, again, budgeting big time here and making sure all of our money goes into the ground and in hopes that you get positive results each time you spend money. You need to validate to the investors that, the $1 million I put in, is it doubling? Is it tripling your market cap? What have you? So, we started out, we had around a $2 million market cap about a year and a half ago. Today we stood at $30 million market cap by spending about $3 to $5 million on the ground. So we're kind of, proving that our dollars are going in the right way. We have about $1.2 million in the bank right now, Canadian, after paying for all of our seasons. So we're still sitting pretty healthy here. But, like you said, we're a nonprofit organization. We don't make revenue, and we have to go out and we have to convince people to give us money. So, and the way we're doing that is we're continuing to build confidence with geological techniques that generally downgrade, because generally your grab samples are your highest grade all the time. And then you channel sample, you get a bit lower, and then drilling, you can expect probably a bit lower. But oddly enough, we with this Grizzly intercept now, we can say that we've actually, with higher grade geological techniques, we've also upped, the grade and kind of the expectation of this carbonate replacement. So, again, right now we're sitting pretty good right now, just trying to get all this information together because we're trying to up our confidence as a company, just like an investor wants to up their confidence, because we're all in the same game together here.
All right, well, Nick, thanks so much for hopping on here today. This was excellent. I wish you continued success, and please keep coming on here as you guys put out these great results, because I'm sure that we're going to build up quite an audience here of people who want to hear about core assets if you guys are able to keep getting results like these.
Appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And if you could do me a big favor, please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so we keep making more of this content for y'all.